Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to the third episode of FormIt Friday. We are live from the AIA convention, and I'm joined today by Mike Engel from ESG Architects, my co-host Tobias Hathorn, and Brandon Walensky from BNIM. So we've been having a great couple of days here at the convention, and we've been introducing a lot of customers to FormIt 360 Pro, which is our new subscription offering to go on top of FormIt 360. So if you are still new to FormIt 360, you can go to the our formit360.autodesk.com website and click on the YouTube link in the top right, and we have the first 2 episodes of our webinar series that you can go back and watch, where we kind of introduce you to the basic features and basic functionality. Today we're going to start and we're going to talk about the Pro features, and then we are going to have Mike and Brandon walk through some of the work that they're doing on real projects. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the energy analysis feature that we've added. So in FormIt 360 Pro, once you, first let me start with where to get the subscription. So if you start FormIt 360 on the web, you can start a trial, a 30-day trial, which you will get all of these features for 30 days for free. Then we have the e-store, the Autodesk store.autodesk.com, where you can purchase for $300 a year or $30 a month. You can purchase the subscription, and you can use these features on any of the 3 FormIt 360 platforms, on the web, on the iOS platform, and on Android. Okay, so we're going to start with the energy analysis feature. What you need, the prerequisite for this is you need a model with levels applied. So you need at least one mass with levels applied, because what this is going to do is create an energy model from your massing model and submit this to the Green Building Studio servers. And what you get back are a number of runs at once. So this is the first thing that's different about this approach, is that instead of one energy run based on a bunch of settings that you've preset, you get around 10 or 12 runs, and what we've done is varied a bunch of factors that affect energy use so that you can do your own what-if scenarios within this dashboard that Tobias is showing. So the first thing we'll look at is this red number is the energy cost mean. So this is how many dollars per square meter that the energy cost is estimated. And so the goal here is to get this as low as possible. And the way we do that is we look at the different factors that are embedded within the runs that have been sent back. So let's take a look. What are we in here? So we're in the window glass. And so this is relatively flat. And when you see a flat graph like this, you know that it's not terribly sensitive based on the location of this project to these factors. But you can still vary them, like what Tobias is doing, is you can narrow the window, and like he's looking at let's just look at what the effect that choosing triple pane glass is going to have on this model. Let's just look at that one factor and then see what the effect of that. Now we can see in this case it's actually not having a huge impact. But let's look at another factor like occupancy, which has a huge impact on the energy cost, because we've narrowed this now down from 24/7 occupancy down to, let's say this is an office or a school, it's 12 hours for 5 days a week, and you can see that then has an impact on the number. And so you can explore some of these other factors: lighting efficiency, plug load efficiency, insulation, roof insulation, and you can start to see that you have what this is allowing you to do is get some real insight into what the potential energy cost of this project would be, even at this very, very early stage of just a simple massing model. And this is very different from what you were able to do in the past, which was submit a run, get results back, submit another run, get results back, and compare them, try to compare them across. And what we're seeing here is you can save the dashboard once you get to a certain state that you want to share with somebody, or maybe do a print of this. You can save the dashboard and then return to it.
May I have your attention, please? The expo floor is...
What you heard there was that the expo floor at AIA is closing. So we're doing this live from AIA, on the expo floor, which is actually closing. So, all right. So the next feature we're going to look at is the real-time collaboration feature, which we had in beta for a couple months. And if you're not familiar with this feature, what you can do is start a collaboration session and share this with any of your colleagues or maybe a client, and you can all be in the same model at the same time and be seeing the changes that your other colleagues are making. So you can see Tobias has essentially shared this model with himself. So he's got the iPad view and the web view in the background. And what this allows, so he's got one camera shared by the other user. So you can share your camera, and then everyone else in the session is going to see what you see, basically. And regardless of camera view, everyone's going to see your own edits, and then everyone's selection color, everyone's assigned a selection color, so you know who's modifying the model at what time. And I'm just take a moment here and say that if you have questions, you can put them into the question pane. We may, because time is limited in this session, we may not get to the questions today, but I promise we will get to your questions. And also, if you go to FormIt360.autodesk.com, you can put questions into our discussion forum and ask questions there as well. And what we're seeing now is you also have a chat feature that's built in to the collaboration system as well. So you can chat, you can type chat between all of our participants. Yeah, sure. So the third final feature that we have in the Pro subscription is solar analysis. And for those of you users who have used Ecotect or Vasari or the solar analysis plugin for Revit, which is currently available on Labs, we're using the same calculation engine that we use in those systems as well. So what we've done is, most of you that have used FormIt are probably familiar with the shadow tool, where you can vary the shadows based on the location for the project. And you'll notice a blue button appears on the right when you've got your subscription enabled that says solar analysis. And this is going to allow you to look at the peak solar values, the solar insolation values for this location on all the surfaces that you select. So if you click Analyze, it's going to think for a little bit and then provide you with this information. Now, in the web view that we're seeing here, you can hover your mouse over the surface, and you'll get actually a BTUs per square foot value of insulation value. And then you can vary the slider to look at these different values across different months of the 12 months of the year, and start to make some decisions about shading strategies based on the information that you're getting back. And you can also then close this, edit the model, and then rerun the analysis to see the impact of, let's say, a shading device or a nearby object. So I bet Tobias is going to show the array tool to do louvers. Am I right? As you can guess, we've done this demo multiple times. So we're going to rerun the analysis. Now this feature, just to be okay, so we can then see what the effect of these louvers have had to shade that adjacent surface. Are those all grouped? Can you do a? Can you quickly extend their ability to shade? Ah, very nice. So we covered this in the last section, but we have a grouping functionality which all of these objects are instances of one another. So Tobias can edit one of these and then extend or modify the one object, and then all the others are going to update. Wow, your sketchy lines are really really sketchy. So you'll see that he's editing all of those louvers at once. And just to kind of recap on some of the other functionality that we can, those louvers and all of those objects will come into Revit as massing families, and they will also come in as instances of one another, so that you could do the same workflow in Revit where you could actually edit those louvers, and then those will actually, all the instances will update. So. And before I get to that, I'll just say that the solar analysis feature is available on all three platforms. So the final piece that we released this week, and to be clear, this part we're going to show now is available for free. Is not part of the pro subscription, but we've been working hard on it and wanted to get it released. So we have a. Could you bring up the website real quick? So we released a Revit add-in, and what this Revit add-in does is you can download this if you go to our website and click download. You can download this converter, FormIt 360 converter, and install this in Revit 2015. And this converter is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. Basically, what you can do is you can convert Revit families to to FormIt files, and you can convert SketchUp files to FormIt files. So if you have a bunch of content that you've used in either Revit and or SketchUp, you can point this converter at a folder full of those files, and it's going to convert them to FormIt files. And you can either convert them locally, or you can even, there's a checkbox at the bottom where you can upload all those files at once to your content folder in FormIt on your A360 drive. And what that's going to allow you to do is place that content into your FormIt model and then reuse it in Revit downstream. So there's kind of two uses for this. One is like, this is a pretty extreme, you want to spin that around a little bit. So this is kind of an extreme case, which you have a full, we took this full SketchUp model, which is a fully modeled SketchUp project, and then just basically converted that entire thing and then brought it into FormIt as a complete editable model. So you can navigate this, and you can even edit all the individual objects. And you notice materials from the SketchUp file also translated into the FormIt materials as well. So it's pretty powerful in terms of reusing or continuing projects that may be started in another product. And then that's pretty slick. This is the actual conversion into Revit. So coming in, so it's essentially a better way of if you want, of bringing in SketchUp files into Revit by using FormIt as an intermediary. So you want to look at the Revit family part too. So kind of keeping with the Swiss Army knife analogy here, the other completely different thing that this converter can do is you can take a family file and we can convert it to a FormIt file. And what it's going to do when you place it is that you can place it, and then you can it's going to hold on to its category. Okay, we're gonna do it. So yeah.
So we're at AIA. We are no longer on the show floor. We're in a cafe waiting for some coffees to arrive, but we still have Brandon and Mike with us, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up the session by looking at some of their work, some people who are actually using FormIt in their day-to-day lives. So maybe you guys could give a quick introduction about yourselves, and then we'll walk through your stuff. Mike, will you go first?
Yeah, so Mike Engel, designer with ESG Architects. Work a lot on the iPad, sketching, drawing, and also modeling through FormIt that way, and also quite a bit in Revit, in combining the two. So.
And I'm Brandon Walensky with BNIM Architects out of Kansas City, Missouri. I work there as the in-between between technology and architecture, working to push our digital practice forward and finding new tools and new ways in which we can work through sustainable and solutions.
Very good. All right, so I think Brandon's going to go ahead and go first, talking about his project. So let me pass the mouse over to him, and tell us about this.
Okay, so this is actually a very early project in our FormIt usage history. So this was about the first thing that we did when we first heard about it. We were doing a project for UMKC Conservatory competition. We were looking at different schemes to use, and so this was actually done first in SketchUp, and then so some of these, like this one here, we had done as an imported model directly from SketchUp, and then other ones like this one here, we modeled within FormIt to kind of test and see how did it grab SketchUp elements, and then how good was it at doing the same job, essentially. And we found that it was really quick, really intuitive. We really enjoyed it right away, so we've been looking for ways to begin integrating it into our normal workflows after we finished this one up. And all we did was just some basic, formal models, little plays in different materials, and that's really all there was in this project. And right now we're working on another competition for Hammer in Hand, the Perform 2015 competition. It's a competition for a mixed-use net zero building in Portland, Oregon. And so a team of 4 of us are working collaboratively within FormIt to do some of our pre-design work and test out different ideas while we're working within the site. And we're using only FormIt for this section. So we began with looking at site and context, and they had provided for us a topography map. So we began by trying to model up the topography and getting that all set up. But then when we went to compare it to what existed from the Google site map that we got through FormIt, we found that what was given to us and what actually existed was very different. And so we began to simply go off of the FormIt given Google map, and we began to model our roads. We modeled our intersections, our sidewalks, our existing contextual buildings, and then we began recently to go into ideas about site strategy and unit strategy. So we have we brought in one building that we had begun to do a little bit from SketchUp. You can see over here, it's very typical SketchUp building, a lot of lines, modeled pretty just quickly. And but within FormIt, we began to look at it just completely anew. And so we began by looking at doing some mock-ups of different ideas for parking structures, and then looking at ideas for residential units. And this is the basic unit that we've decided on so far. And we started just going through and replicating them as a group, so that when we would go in and we could change a different, we could change our floor heights, we could change just different. We could change our If we wanted to, we could change our floor heights or our floor thicknesses, and we could see then that even though we've changed that, we can see how that affects then with the different configurations we've tried out. So you can see that all the modeled units have changed that floor thickness. So it's been really useful for us to quickly iterate both configuration of units and the unit design itself, so that when we're out sharing the session, somebody could be doing unit design, somebody could be working on the relationship between different units, and that way we don't have to just hand off models. It's all happening in the same place. And
that's really cool. So
yeah.
you basically have one like kind of driver unit.
Right. So this is where like one of us would work
Yeah.
if we were doing specifically the unit design, and then after that, somebody would be out here. So after that, while that change is being made, they could look at it and be like, "Oh, hold on, this does not work at all with this scheme." So if this is a scheme we really liked, we would say, "Okay, go change it back."
And you guys are working at the same time
Yes.
in the collaboration feature?
Right. So, so for instance, I was out in San Francisco last week. We still wanted to do some work on this, so I shared it out with a couple of my people who are working on this with me, and so we could collaborate, we could chat, and we could even, if we needed some input from one of our principals, so we could actually invite him in, and even though he was also traveling, they could see and they could give us direct feedback immediately, and we could continue modeling. We didn't have to wait. There was no break in the action.
Or sending a 30 meg model to somebody
Exactly.
in an email.
Exactly. So because it's all web-based, I don't have to worry about file sizes. I don't have to worry about shipping it through Newforma or through Dropbox or wherever. It all just happens right there and then.
Cool.
So moving forward, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for now that we have access to some of the new features, we're going to be looking at bringing this model into Revit and begin doing some documentation on it, getting some formalized layouts done so that we can make our boards and get ready to present the whole thing. But yeah, it's been a really great tool so far. It makes collaboration really easy, and I really think that this is just going to get better and better. So.
Awesome. Nice work, Brandon. Thanks for sharing it.
Thank you.
So, Mike, let me pass the mouse over to you. Why don't you show us some of the work that you do in FormIt?
Sure. So I kind of take a little bit different approach to FormIt. It's a digital sketch tool to me. It allows me to, whenever I have an idea, to start modeling in both a sketch environment on the iPad and in a 3D environment and iterate back and forth. So what you can see here on the screen right now is, taking some quick sketches, understanding what that idea is. What is that first initial idea for the design? Doing quick color studies, and then bringing that directly into FormIt as an underlay, stretching it, scaling it.
Rotating it up into the Z direction.
Right, oops. Bear with the model here. Yeah, flipping up an image so you can use it both in elevation and plan.
That is great.
You can see, again, just like before with the groups, I've created some groups to start to develop the structure, the foundation, how is that articulated, some stair groups, bringing that in to all these pieces, and being able to work with that, doing some lighting studying, seeing how the roofs, and working it basically just like a sketch. And a lot of times I'll take this and do some screenshots and sketch over it again, articulate it further. Another thing I use it for quite a bit is to study things very quickly. So in this case, we've got an infill residential site, existing neighborhood. Again, grabbing the context very quickly to understand what's the relationship to highways, neighborhoods, massing of the surrounding, and then being able to, again, with groups, create multiple quick studies of what is the building form, and directly apply those then onto our sites and understand, okay, what's the relationship? How does that fit with the street context? What is the shadow study? What is the scale relationships? But in a very fluid way. I mean, I could do this in a lot of software. We do it in Revit all the time. But with a Revit model, you've got a lot of these cumbersome. So the ability to work quickly, effectively, with a lot of different iterations in a very fluid fashion is a big value, and you can get to a solution a lot of times a lot quicker. You can also explore options that maybe you would have not thought you had time to explore because of the cumbersomeness. Again, seeing, bringing in additional images to get the topography understood there. What is the parking? That's been articulated in a plan. Wouldn't necessarily remodel it, but so that's in it in a nutshell.
Where did you articulate that plan?
So that plan was done in Revit. So
Okay.
it's very much a back and forth for me. Whether that's back and forth between sketches, as we see in this small little boathouse study.
Yeah.
Creating these different sketches, piecemealing them together to compose that, and then modeling it, as well as doing more traditional of what we do a lot of today of hardlining it in Revit, creating the plan.
Are you exporting that as an image?
Yep.
Bringing it in?
Yep. I'll bring that as an image.
Okay.
So actually, I think I've got another image in here. Grab it. So I've got a couple different images in here. Tweak the transparency up, down. So you actually start to see a little bit of the Revit model that articulates that. And the real beauty is, I can do that back and forth very quickly. I can tweak it a little bit here, go back to the Revit model, tweak the more hardline data there, bring it back in, move things around, switch orders, play with the satellite images, and the real, I can just come down here, get a viewpoint. A lot of times when I'm working on my iPad, it's a matter of taking a quick screenshot and going, okay, that's the view.
Yeah.
And very quickly I can study, 8 ideas, get 8 different views of each idea, and just send them off to a client or a coworker, a colleague, and go, what do you think of this? Or how's this work? It doesn't matter where I am, when I'm doing it. It's free. So
Cool. And do you have some slides that you want to show too?
Oh,
Or
sure.
I'd like you to show them.
Sure, yeah.
If you just hover down here.
Let's go back here. I put together some slides that talk a little bit about process. So, slideshow.
You got it.
Play from start. Work here. So this kind of maybe a summary of what I just described, a little more formal. So a lot of times working in Sketchbook Pro, creating an idea very quickly, very very traditionally, but in a digital format. Bringing that right into FormIt, extruding off of it, creating the mass, doing the rotation.
The
and
materials
setting.
too. Are those custom materials, or are you just
Yep.
kind of making them on the fly?
Yeah, I basically make a lot of materials on the fly. It's quick. Again, working on the iPad, it's a matter of toggling over to Safari, grabbing Google Images,
Yeah.
going up, there's the material, and tweaking the color a little bit, cropping it, and bring it right in. So it's in some ways, Google Images has become my material library.
Yeah.
It's pretty limitless. So.
It's that wood texture. And
Right.
you Google it, and I get a ton of.
Yep. So, so that's very, very easy and quick to do. Again, so taking that component that was created and articulating an existing, massing of a building and how that fits in with light studies. And then here's, prime example, then bringing that directly into the Revit model that was articulated and detailed, and seeing it in a fully, contextual format of something that's already developed.
That's a pretty sharp Revit image too. I'm
Right.
always impressed by it. It's like you've got some control of the shadows and then
Yep.
the ambient shadows too. And there's
Yep.
a couple of tweaks you can get a really nice
Right.
image.
Yeah.
out
I
of.
mean, it's to do black and white or even color images. Starting to swap out the trees from the sketchy trees to some Revit trees and plants, and very quickly turn into color, turn on realistic modes in Revit.
Yep.
You can articulate a design, in minutes what used to take maybe a day of work. So, and you can iterate it, which is kind of the beauty of it. So, again, in another example of mobile workflow, starting with sketches for a canopy idea. Just very loosely, what are the ideas? How do things come together? Understanding and perspective. Something that's, with the hand, there's limitless ideas. There's no control or thought. Starting to mass that then in FormIt, simultaneously as sketching on the iPad. Studying 8 different ideas. Bringing that FormIt model directly into Revit then. Having those components that I can then place right in our fully detailed model to understand it again in context, which ideas are going to move forward, which are not. very quickly go into a rendered function and present it to clients in a fashion, again, that would usually take days of going between software, replicating it, iterating it, where now, you can do all this work probably around 6 hours. So
Literally in 6 hours.
right,
Yeah, not in a
yeah,
estimated 6 hours.
right.
Yeah, right.
6 hours right here.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other day, and I
Right.
still can't believe it. Like to go through
Yeah.
those variety of options with your iPad during the day at work,
Right.
and then by the end of the day have something to
Yeah,
show.
while being interrupted probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
very
awesome.
cool.
Cool. Well, thank you guys both. I'll go ahead and let you get back to the AIA festivities. I believe there's a big tailgate party tonight.
That's
You
right.
guys are invited
Yes,
to.
sir.
We've got these coffees now, so we're going to go ahead and indulge in that. Thanks everybody for attending FormIt Friday, part 2. A little bit more civil this time, no interruptions. And thanks to our special guests, Brandon and Mike.
Yep.
Hope to have you guys on again sometime in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.